Welcome, everyone. We're just giving everyone a moment to come into the Zoom room. But as you're joining us, we're happy to welcome you to Unlocking the Power of Service Learning to support the California State Civic Seal of Engagement. So thank you all for being here. My name is Amy Muirs. I'm the CEO for the National Youth Leadership Council. And joining me is Julie Rogers Bascom, the Director of Learning and Leadership. I want to start with just a quick overview of NYLC. Our vision is a world where every young person engages in social action and is recognized as essential to civic society. We empower young people to shape the future by equipping them with the skills, the values, and the opportunities to lead with purpose. So we're really on a mission to equip young people with the knowledge, skills, and confidence, amplifying young people's voices to co-create a more just, sustainable, and peaceful world. And so we do that by empowering young people to serve, lead, and generate positive change in their classrooms, in their schools, and in their communities. And it's really about living out our unwavering commitment to providing today's youth with the opportunities they need to engage as leaders and change makers in their communities. So for over 40 years, NYLC has empowered young people to share their voices, develop civic leadership skills, and really be contributors to their community. In 1983, we were founded by Dr. James Kilsmeyer. And from that moment on, we became a leader in service learning. 1998, we had the National Service Learning Exchange, which supported service learning across the country and was part of our training and technical assistance that we provided to learn and serve America through the federal funding for service learning at that time. In the 2008, we published the K-12 Standards for Quality Practice, and that those standards were created through community with teachers, students, practitioners, experts in the field, came together to create those standards. And those are available on our website today. We also, in 2017, published Service Learning by Design, which we're going to talk a little bit about today, which is really the textbook for integrating service learning into curriculum. Just a couple of years ago, we published the Equity in Service Learning, a revised and updated version. We have one for educators as well as students. And then in 2023, we launched our flagship program, Youth as Solutions, where we're supporting teams of young leaders across the United States and tackling issues around education, community health, environment, civics, and democracy. So we're providing them leadership development, educators, service learning support, resources, including small grants, so that they can take action in their community. But at the end of the day, it's all about increasing that student engagement, building those social emotional skills, the problem solving skills, that civic engagement, which we're here to talk about today, as well as the career exploration that service learning provides. Just a few goals to talk about for why we're gathering today. We want to share the why and what of service learning. We want to consider how to use service learning to meet the SEAL criteria. And we want to encourage you to meet with us one-on-one to learn more about how we can support your service learning initiatives in your district through our professional development, the resources that we offer. And so with that, I am going to kick it over to Julie to talk more about service learning.
Thank you, Amy. My name, again, is Julie Rogers Bascom, she, her pronouns. I'm the Director of Learning and Leadership here at NYLC. So I've had the privilege and honor to be working with some of the districts in California to use service learning as that strategy to help young people earn that civic seal, and even more, help young people have an opportunity to see themselves as problem solvers and change makers. I always start, one of the things that I've learned in this 25 plus years of really immersing myself in the service learning strategy is that there's a lot of misunderstanding, or there are different definitions of what community service and service learning is. It's really important for us to start there. Words are the source of much misinformation. So we start with really describing the difference. Community service, an activity that engages people in addressing the needs of their schools and or of their community. Good and important work. Oftentimes a one-time event, um, oftentimes not necessarily led by young people, and oftentimes not with some reflection before, during, and after. Those are some of the differences between community service and service learning. And again, I say this is good and important work. As institutions of learning, we feel that service learning is one of those strategies that can help teachers meet their academic goals. So hopefully it's not an add-on, it's a way to do something different. But our definition, where we landed on our definition, is that it's an approach to teaching and learning in which students use academic and civic knowledge and skills to address genuine community needs. Now, I know that that's a long and wonky definition. Just breaking it out a little bit, pulling out some of the important things of this definition, why I think this is important. It is an approach to teaching and learning. It is not just a project. A project is part of it. That'll help you meet criteria 3 for the state requirements, the criteria for the Civic Seal. But it's really embedded into what teachers are already doing. We can help support that. It's where students use academic and civic knowledge and skills. So some of those attributes, or the knowledge base that they have, or they are growing in their classroom experience. So they're using their skills, knowledge, and interests, I would add, to really meet the genuine community needs. And we really think that that's important, that partnership with people and community members and organizations and efforts. We really have landed on really important to remember what the community needs, not necessarily what we think that the community needs. So those are some of the important things to pull out in our definition. And we have lots of resources and tools to help teachers dig into that a little bit more. People laugh at me. Amy's going to laugh at me right now, but I think if you can take anything away from this conversation, you take away that service learning is a process, not a project. I tell you, it's going to be on my tombstone. That is the crux of why we use service learning as a strategy to help young people be engaged in their work, but also for teachers to bring learning to life. Another important aspect of some of the strategy that we use is we use a backwards planning process. Amy mentioned Service Learning by Design, a book that we published that really takes the work of Wiggins and McTeague and lays that into and over the process that we work with teachers. Most of your teachers, I'm sure, are very familiar with that backwards design. So it's not necessarily a new awareness, but it is a way to make it come alive and really integrate it into your curriculum. Going backwards, first stage, we start with academic outcomes. What is it that you want young people to know, do, and understand? Determine acceptable evidence. That stage 3 is really the student learning cycle. And then that last stage, really looking at how did we do? What else is left to do? Where can we improve? What were our successes? The third stage, and I pulled this out because this is where the student learning cycle is really grounded in. This is an inquiry-based strategy. So we're really asking young people to take the lead in investigating what the community need is that they're addressing. They plan and prepare, they take action, they reflect before, during, and after. And they also, I think, quality service learning practice has the opportunity for demonstration, and by that I mean demonstrating what they've learned, how they've been transformed, how it impacted the community. So some of those, this is what how we support teachers in using service learning is really digging into this cycle. Important pillars. I'm going really fast here because we said this is 30 minutes and we're going to stick to our 30 minutes. Important pillars of service learning. It's a process, not a project. Youth voice. Youth voice is really central to this process. Reflection. I mentioned that already. And then that last square, it's collective action. It's young people coming together, and during the process of an experience like this, they're building those 21st century learning skills. They're building communication and teamwork and collaboration. So it's really a strategy that can help support teachers in reaching some of those outcomes. It is an outcomes based strategy, a brain based strategy. Real quickly, we really know, and we've talked about this already, why service learning is why for young people. Think of those outcomes. When you do a community service project, you go pick up garbage at the local park. Your outcome is 3 bags of garbage. When you do a service learning experience with young people, your outcomes are academic growth, personal growth, increase in social emotional learning, and meeting 21st century skills. Why is it good for educators? It's really, as educators, why do I need to learn this? How many have heard that before? Why do I need to learn this? This is why you need to learn science or English or social studies. This is why you need to, because you can apply it to the real world. And yes, service learning and civic engagement touches on all different content areas, not just history and civics. Why is it good for community? In a nutshell, I think it helps the community see that young people have something to offer. There's new energy. It's kids these days. They're excited about what young people are able to bring to the table. Now, I think I mentioned that one of the criteria, how we have been supporting California schools to meet the criteria, we definitely address criteria 3, which is a civic engagement project. We definitely address criteria 4, which is reflection. And that last criteria is interpreted differently in different schools. Sometimes it's a log of hours, or sometimes it's a mentorship, or sometimes it is a referral or a recommendation. So there's certainly service learning is a strategy that helps you meet, I think, sometimes some of the hardest criteria for young to achieve that sort of civic skill. Amy, I'm going to throw it back over to you.
So I just want to share a little bit more about the professional development that NYLC offers. And then Julie will be able to share a little bit about what that looks like in the school districts that we're working with. But our professional development is standards-based. It aligns with classroom curriculum and empowers youth voice and leadership, which I think are so important. And without youth voice, it isn't service learning. I'll just say that right now. It also, as Julie said, it's really about bringing that community into classroom and supports the engagement of partners. We focus on equity within the classroom and the community, and we work with you to build sustainability into the model through an instructional leader and service learning model. We also are committed to creating a program that works with you and for you so that students just achieve that state civic seal for graduation. So looking at your requirements. Our professional development, again, we support teachers, administrators, students, and community partners. And our facilitation is really built around having our attendees construct their own knowledge and meaning, and bring those real world experiences into into the training. So we focus on the needs of the learners, honor their knowledge and experience, and engage them as leaders of their own learning. And then just when we're talking about our service learning and civic education professional development journey, there's a lot that we have to offer. So this is a comprehensive overview, which can be completely customized to meet the needs of the district. But we start off with an in-person educator institute in your school district. So this is really about bringing teachers together to help them identify where and how service learning can be incorporated into their classroom instruction. So it's so important just to note, like, this isn't a whole year, right? It's like, where does it fit? What are you already doing where service learning can be the way that you teach that unit, so that young people have the opportunity to meet those civic seal requirements. Then we provide ongoing coaching, quarterly deep dives. And again, those are dependent on what the teachers need. It could be on building community partnerships. It could be on integrating more youth voice into the process. It's really about what the teachers need within the school district. And then we have a community of practice as well. So that is where we have educators across the country coming together to really learn from each other. And we know that that peer to peer, being able to hear what's working in your classroom, what are some of the things that you're doing, that really helps teachers be able to move this work forward. And we're building community. A community of educators who know and want to expand this practice. And then in year two, we look at onboarding new teachers, but also the sustainability of the program. So bringing in that train the trainer model, working with teacher leaders, with the administrators to really look at how they can sustain and support service learning within the district without the continued support from NYLC. Julie, I'm going to ask you to jump in and take us a little on a deeper journey about what this actually looks like.
Well, I think we talked a little bit about how we meet certain criteria, how the process of service learning really addresses that the criteria 3, 4, and 5. I think what I have learned from the work, the district-wide work that we have been doing in California specifically for this, it is the awareness of what a civic education action project, a civic action project really is. As I mentioned earlier, it can be in any content area. It doesn't have to be just in a civics class or connected to social studies or social sciences. I also think that the way that I have seen it really go deep is when teachers are also knowing that this is good for young people to earn the seal, because that is a measure of an accomplishment, but it's just so much more. Some of the districts are saying, why are we just doing this in high school? We should be thinking about how can we weave this into middle school. The same kinds of things really do support middle and I would say elementary school as well. Again, that youth voice, partnering with community, seeing young people as having something to bring to the table, and everything in between. It's just been such an honor to be walking with the teachers who are doing this work. This work started for me. My personal journey was that my kids were in a school in Oakland, California, where every student every year was doing some kind of service learning. So, and I saw the impact that it made on the school community. Amy, I'm going to throw it back to you now. Talk a little bit about some of the resources that we have.
Yep. So one of the resources, and I'm actually going to drop the link here in the chat, is our Getting Started in Service Learning. We have a resource library with tons of free resources for educators to bring service learning into their classrooms. getting started, as I mentioned, was updated, and I think I mentioned it in the beginning in 2021. We updated this, and it really helps those new to service learning walk through what this can look like in their classroom. So a great resource with fillable PDFs and examples of what this can look like in different classrooms on the ground, with a focus on those civic outcomes. And then also in our library is a service learning unit plan organizer. And that really helps people bring the service learning by design, which is our textbook for educators. That unit plan organizer works hand in hand with the service learning by design to bring that backwards planning process to life. So those are also available for as free downloads in our resource library. But really, and are part of our training as well. So as part of the Educator Institute, we really bring these tools to life for teachers. And what I've heard Julie say, I'm just going to quote her. We all get, when we go to trainings, we get those binders that sit on our shelves, right? The professional development that NYLC brings to this is about making sure that the training doesn't sit on a shelf somewhere, but is actually implemented, and that teachers are doing something different. They're teaching a different way. We're using a different pedagogy in their classes, and we're not asking them to do something in addition to. It's a different way of bringing the lesson plan to life that meets those civic seal criteria, along with a lot of other great outcomes for young people that we've talked about, those social and emotional skills, the critical thinking, and can be connected to college and career readiness skills. So the resources that we have help bring the professional development to life, and are also available for you all to take a look at. And then with that, I think there's some other opportunities I had there, Julie, that I'd like to share. So just some other supports and opportunities. Again, I mentioned our resource library. I encourage you to take a look there. We also have the Youth as Solutions program that I mentioned, which we are accepting applications for. So a great way for teams within your schools to come together and get training and support along with a small grant to implement their project. And they would be meeting these Civic Seal requirements. We have our newsletter, The Leader, which comes out just monthly, but keeps you up to date on all of the offerings that NYLC has, and provides a lot of great information, articles and blogs and resources that we're creating. My favorite thing that I get to do is the Power of Young People podcast, which is a great, not only just if you're looking for something to uplift your spirits and you just want to feel good about what's happening in the world, I highly recommend listening to what young people are doing. You hear their voices on the podcast, but it's also a great tool to inspire other young leaders, to inspire the young people who are looking to what is that project? What do I want to take action on? They can listen to what other young people are doing around the country and the globe. So it's my inspiration, and hopefully others will find ways to tap into that, to find their own spark and inspiration. And then, of course, we have our National Service Learning Conference. And so we just wrapped up the 36th annual this past March, and we're headed to St. Paul, April 8th through the 10th of 2026. And so it's a wonderful opportunity for people to come together to learn from each other, amazing professional development, great plenary speakers, and lots of opportunities to network and connect and be inspired. So I hope you all will save the date for our next Service Learning Conference. And then with that, we would love to open it up to questions for anyone who would like to learn more or has with something we didn't cover.
I think you had asked about a copy of the slides, and we're happy to provide that to you as well. If you want to
Absolutely.
drop your email in the chat, and or we can also look at the sign up. I think I recognize your name, so I'm
Yep.
happy to send that to you.
Wonderful. Well, if there are no questions, we have done an excellent job of managing our time. We know that was extremely fast. Julie and I are here. She's going to share a link for you to, if you have questions, please reach out to us. And we just want to say thank you for all the hard work that you all are doing in your districts to support Civic Seal achievement. And if you want to partner with NYLC, we would welcome that opportunity. So thank you all for joining us and have a wonderful day.